Hey, what is up there, world? It's your boy, Tommy on the spot. Thanks so much for checking us out here today on Watchalong Wrestling. It is, I'm not even sure what time it is here. It's 1:10 in the morning, but I am up and Adam here, right here in the East Coast, right in New York City. The reason I'm on here with you guys, the reason I decided to jump on and talk with you guys, it's been a little while. I do apologize for that. Dipped off for a bit down towards the end of the year. And I'm sorry about that, but back here on Watchalong Wrestling, plan is to be here with you guys most days and to be able to talk with you guys about all the happenings in the world of pro wrestling. Of course, if you like what you see, please do leave a like and subscribe. You can also follow me over on YouTube. Over on YouTube, you can hit subscribe right here. You can find me over on Twitter at WatchWrestlePod. We have a lot of fun over there, and this is really going to be kind of just a little bit of a potpourri, if you will. Should have called it the Wrestling Potpourri. But it's going to be kind of a wrap-up of the year of 2018, and then looking ahead, I guess, to a little bit of 2019 with the news of All Elite Wrestling dropping right at midnight last night. It was pretty exciting, and we're going to get into all of that. But right at the top of the show, I just wanted to thank you guys for checking me out on here. For those of you who don't know what Watchalong Wrestling is, it started as kind of just like a side project for myself in a way, a little bit of a podcast where each week I would watch a show, an old classic wrestling show, live. And as I watched the show, I invited all of you guys to come and join in and watch with me. And basically the whole point is that if we all watch together and you watch on your own while I watch on my own, we could all kick back, we could relax, we could talk about it through the YouTube live chat. And we can also, at the same time, while the show is going on, I read you guys some stuff about some historical context about the show, what led up to the show, where things were at the time in the world of pro wrestling, and also basically give you a rundown of where the WWE, because most of the shows I think all of the shows except one so far that I've done have been WWE shows. So I give you guys an idea of where WWE was at the time. I give you guys what it was like to be a fan at the time. And most of these shows, a good portion of them, either I have attended live or somebody else has attended live that I know. So I chat with them about their live experience. I talk about my live experience. And it's a lot of fun. And it's something I thoroughly enjoy doing. It's the Watchalong Wrestling Podcast. We're not really available wherever podcasts are sold, though, I guess, if you will. So we're not on YouTube yet. I mean, not on iTunes yet. We're not on Spotify, any of those things yet. We're just right here on YouTube because the point of it is really to chat with you guys as I watch these shows. And that's really kind of what I was looking to do and what I do still plan on doing. And we're going to do those. And my goal here with this channel, if you notice, I said Watchalong Wrestling. I didn't say Watchalong Wrestling Podcast. The Twitter is already at WatchWrestlePod. I'm not going to change that because of the fact that you guys are super cool and have given me a whole shitload of followers over on Twitter, and I really appreciate the folks that have joined on and have been able to follow me over there. I thoroughly enjoy the interaction a lot, and I know that basically I'll explain a little bit who I am. I am on Twitter at Tommy on the Spot. That is where my actual Twitter is. And for years, I would just tweet about wrestling. And more recently, what I found myself doing was watching wrestling as my wife went to work. And my wife worked overnights. She'd go to work through the night. I really didn't have much to do, so I'd just sit there and I'd watch the WWE Network. Then I'd relive kind of all these old memories of different shows and found myself chatting with friends the next day. Hey, do you remember back in the day on the road to SummerSlam 1998? When The Undertaker was there and he was going up against Stone Cold and every day they'd play Highway to Hell, my friends would be kind of into it. But at the end of the day, most of my friends don't really follow wrestling too strongly anymore. So what I found myself was like, hey, I'd love to talk about this. I'd love to have more of a connection with folks on the internet in the part of that wrestling community, so to speak. So I started the Watch Wrestle Pod Twitter page, and the response has just been super overwhelming. I cannot thank you guys enough. Again, this is only me here, and it's so cool to get on there and talk with you guys. And what I've tried to do is, as I watch these shows and get ready to watch these shows, I watch all the build up to the shows and talk to you guys about my thoughts on, Raw episode 1000 from back in the day, or Raw episode 338, and whatever it is leading up to these shows. And the response has been great, and I really can't thank you guys enough for chatting with me on there, for following me on there. I am going through a little bit of an overhaul of the YouTube channel. We're going to try a couple different things. I definitely, my goal, I guess, for 2019 is to be more consistent with that. But the main reason I started this was, again, my wife was at work. I was trying to do something with my time, and I started a YouTube channel with my buddy Steve. That's something we do called Disney 101. It's basically a Disney live stream podcast that we do. And so on the side, I was like, hey, I'm passionate about wrestling. I love this stuff. Let's talk with you guys about my experiences and some of the things that I thoroughly enjoy about pro wrestling, and that's kind of where I'm at. So it's been great. It's been a lot of fun, and I do plan on continuing to do it, and hopefully you guys join in on that. We are going to the Royal Rumble just in a couple weeks. We're a couple weeks away from the Royal Rumble, so it's one of these deals that we're excited about. I'm excited to be on there with you guys and to be able to check out the my thing popped up here as I talked to you. Sorry. So it's one of these things where we are trying to, be able to bring sort of that live experience to you guys. WrestleMania is right in my backyard. I have WrestleMania tickets. I'm going to WrestleMania. We'll bring you guys live perspectives of that entire weekend. It's just an exciting time, man. And I'm excited about it. I'm excited to share all of those with you. I have something in the background that is playing, and I apologize about that. So let me go over there and turn that off. And yep, there you go. So sorry. So that's pretty much where I'm at. That's the whole hope with Watchalong Wrestling. And we're going to try different things, and it's going to be a lot of fun. This Saturday, I will be back with, it's either going to be Saturday morning or Sunday morning, most likely Saturday morning. I'll be back with the Watchalong Wrestling podcast. We're going to rewatch Royal Rumble 1999. Let me just turn that off. I don't know what that was about. Royal Rumble 1999, going back and having a little fun, kind of watching that and reliving the insanity that was Stone Cold Steve Austin at number 1, Vince McMahon at number 2, 20 years later. And Royal Rumble is my favorite time of the year. It's my favorite show. We're going to go back. We're going to watch several different Royal Rumble shows. I'd say about 4 until the Rumble. So really getting dived in deep into the Royal Rumble, and it's going to be fun. So I'm excited to go back and check that out with you guys and to be able to go from there. So that's where we're at in terms of the Watchalong Wrestling podcast. Before we get there, though, I wanted to kind of wrap up 2018. I know a lot of folks have been doing the whole, so to speak, everyone's favorite of 2018, right? And your wrestler of the year and your show of the year. And honestly, wrestling like the last 2 weeks of the year is always really tough because like people are at home and they're enjoying the holidays, and it's great WWE gave the talent the time off, but I'm like the worst when it comes to spoilers. If something is on and I know it's pre-taped, I'm going to read the spoilers. I cannot help myself. It's just, okay, great, let me read the spoilers. And then it saves me the time to watch the shows. And I know that's a shitty way to look at it, but that's just always been the way that it's been. If I know the spoilers there, it's hard not to go back and take a look at it. So I feel like, there have been 5 million best of shows out there. There have been 5 million. This is my favorite wrestler of the year, my wrestler of the year, my show of the year, my match of the year. I'm not really going to do that because there's been so many of those out there. I'll talk about what show I thought was best of the year and just kind of go through some of my live experiences rather quickly here. Where it started for me, last year's Christmas, went out. My brother-in-law, basically, I got married this year, right? Cool. Roll Tide me. Got my ring on. When getting married, it was kind of a deal where I was going to have a bachelor party. I knew from day one I wanted to do Epcot's Drink Around the World. That's what I did with most of my friends. But my brother-in-law, who's a little younger, wasn't able to go. So the idea was we were going to try to go to the Royal Rumble. Royal Rumble tickets were the impossible stuff. Show was in Philly again, and every time the show is in Philly, it's the hardest in the world to go get tickets for. So that was really difficult to go and find tickets. It sucked. It was like the worst possible thing in the world to go and get tickets for. I couldn't do it. Tried everything I could, and every ticket was like $300 a ticket. And leading up to the wedding, we're 2 months out because we got married in March. It just was impossible. So come Christmas time, I tried to surprise him and get him for his gift tickets to Raw 25 instead of tickets to the Royal Rumble. This was not met with much enthusiasm. I think he opened it up. He saw the paper tickets sitting there. He was like, let's go. I'm going to Royal Rumble. He's got me the tickets. This is awesome. And he opens it up. Boom. 3 tickets because my wife came. to Raw 25, and it was like, oh, cool. Nice. And I mean, that shows a long way of where my brother-in-law's come from. The kid hadn't gone to a show like 3 years ago, and now we've been to like 5 million shows. And so I guess at this point, like tickets to Raw just was met with pretty much bird chirps and kind of looking around and whatever. So we went to Raw 25. That was cool. Honestly, though, it was one of these deals where the show, something was missing. And I mean, I know what was missing for me personally. Number one, this was the day that the Enzo Amore type deal went down. And it was something where it kind of just put a lull on the whole thing. For those who don't know, Enzo Amore was, there was some story came out that potentially he had raped a girl and was immediately sent home, suspended indefinitely by WWE. He was later fired, not so much because of the allegations, because the allegations ended up being nothing. Enzo was innocent in the matter. He wasn't doing anything wrong except perhaps hanging with the wrong crew and having drugs around. But other than that, apparently it all was ruled to be consensual. It wasn't ruled to be anything. I should say there was not enough evidence to proceed with the case. So I guess leave that where that is. Enzo was sent home. That put a damper on things, I feel like, for Raw 25 right off the bat. For those who don't know, they had to rewrite that entire show. Enzo had a big part in that show. The whole show was going to be based around Enzo Amore and the Cruiserweight Championship. He was going to have that belt, be backstage, kind of that whole APA party they were doing where they kept going back to with all the legends. They would do that, and in doing so, they ended up they were going to end up where Enzo was going to do a poker deal and actually lose the belt to the APA, give that up in the poker deal. Then Nia Jax win it back for him, kind of furthering their relationship. And then eventually, down the line, the story goes, as Enzo explained it, he and Nia were going to be kind of a thing. He would cheat on Nia with Alexa Bliss, setting up Alexa and Nia at WrestleMania, which would have made a lot more sense than what they did with Alexa and Nia at Mania, which was like nothing. So that's where that was. But Enzo was sent home. So that entire thing had to be rewritten. And in doing so, they had these APA segments backstage that really didn't amount to much. And it was really just, it felt like WWE was just trying to get as many legends on there as possible without really meaning much. And what that does is, number one, that really dilutes the meaning of the wrestlers to be there, right? A lot of the legends were there just waving to the crowd. Best of the Raw general managers waving to the crowd. Or they were down in that segment with the APA. Other than Stone Cold Steve Austin and the segment with DX that took place at the Manhattan Center, the legends really were not utilized to the best of their abilities in comparison to when you look at the guys, the few guys that were brought back for Super SmackDown 1000, those guys, Batista was in that Evolution segment. Edge was utilized in that Becky Lynch segment. They were there to enhance the storylines, and they were there to enhance the folks that, you know, still meant a lot to the people in WWE. Chris Jericho was at Raw 25. That was his lone WWE appearance, I believe, of the year. And he just did a little deal backstage with Elias, boom, and done. And that was it. So there really wasn't much for these legends, and there wasn't much for the legends to do. It was cool to see them, but I don't like the idea of seeing legends for the sake of seeing legends and them not really having much. Undertaker was on that show. He didn't do anything. So that was really tough. So kind of looking back at that, like, I didn't think that was too, I think that put a damper on it. Show wasn't terrible, though. I mean, it was cool to see Austin and McMahon probably for the last time live together. Vince taking a stunner, really cool. It was cool to see Elias go over John Cena, lay him out. They didn't have a match, but he laid him out clean and really looked like a stud in doing so. The Miz beat Roman Reigns one-on-one. Thought that was really cool. So that was something to kind of be cool on that show. But then you also remember this was the same show where they split the crowd. They did the crowd here at the Barclays Center, and then they did the crowd at the Manhattan Center. People who went to the Manhattan Center spent hundreds and hundreds of dollars and only got like one live match. It was like Matt Hardy against Bray Wyatt. And they got a cool DX segment, but for the most part, there wasn't much on that show. And they were paying so much to get there. It was really just about pure nostalgia and just being in that small atmosphere to see WWE, which was cool, but not if you're spending so much money. So it was kind of a little bit of a letdown for the folks there. All told, it was an okay show. I think that it definitely could have been more and meant more. It's just they're at a tough spot. They're bringing back all these legends just for the sake of bringing them back because they think that they want to incorporate as many people as possible. But if the appearances aren't meaning much, it's almost like, why bring them back in the first place? Just my 2 cents. So that was Raw 25, and we thought, okay, we're done for the month. And then boom, middle of everything, I tried for Royal Rumble tickets, and in a span of about 2 minutes, tickets became available. I scooped 3 of them up, and then tickets were gone again, and they were never released again. I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was, my father up above looking out, but we got Royal Rumble tickets, so we came home that day, the next day, and we were like, we played the little song for Royal Rumble by LL Black, which was fantastic. Played that for my brother-in-law. Love that song, by the way. And he just about dropped to the ground, was so excited. That was a cool moment. He was really pumped, like, holy shit, we're going to the show. And we went, and it was fantastic. We had a cool weekend down in Philly. It was kind of his bachelor party for me. My wife came too, though. We went to a couple different things, went to NXT. NXT was awesome. They upgraded our seats. We had some like nosebleeds behind the stage, ended up upgrading us down to the floor. So that was really cool. For me, that was where I saw the match of the year, Johnny Gargano against Andrade Cien Almas. They tore down the house. 5-star match by Dave Meltzer. Awesome to be there, and really fun. So was glad I got to do that. Fast forward to the next night, Royal Rumble. You get to that arena, the entire crowd is doing the 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5 countdown with because when you get to a live event, if you guys haven't been to a live pay-per-view now, they count you down till when doors open. And so you have, they do it with doors open, but then once you get there till the show starts, they have like an hour and a half long countdown. So for like the last hour of this, every time they'd get to 10, 9, 8, 7, the crowd would sing along with that countdown and then go at the end, which was something cool, for the people that were there in Philly at the Wells Fargo Center. It was something really cool to kind of look at and to do. So we had a lot of fun with that. That was awesome. Then we went to the Rumble. Then from there, that show was really good. They had the 2 Royal Rumbles, men's Royal Rumble, finished with the women's Royal Rumble. So cool to see the women in the main event. And really just how far women's wrestling has come, especially that Rumble I thought was cool. I think it would have meant more if they didn't bring a lot of those women back just 6 days prior at Raw 25. Because remember, Raw 25 is that Monday, Royal Rumble's that Sunday, and we're there for it. So it was a really crazy week. But we'd gone down there, and a lot of those women had been brought back for Raw 25. So I feel like their nostalgia pops that they got when they came in as surprise entries in the Rumble weren't as much as they would have been if they had not been on Raw, but it was still really cool to see them. Jacqueline, Molly Holly, who looked fantastic, Lita, Trish Stratus. That was a lot of fun. Earlier in the week, there'd been a rumor that maybe Ronda was going to be there. So that was something that was going on throughout the day. And then, of course, so you have this moment that ends the show where basically you're going through all those women. And I remember there was a great moment where Nikki Bella came out, and I basically stood up and I was like, next up we want to see. And I started the Brie Mode song, the Brie Mode, right? That whole deal. And in doing so, Brie Bella was next. And when Brie Bella was next, everyone was high-fiving, and it was a great moment. It led to, obviously, Asuka winning the Rumble, and then that great moment where Asuka's in the ring with Charlotte and with Alexa Bliss. And then Ronda Rousey debuts. And I remember my wife was like, she bolted to go to use the restroom. Ronda's her end-all be-all favorite. She bolted to go use the restroom, and when she did, she then came back. Ronda's music hit. I immediately was like, oh my God, and bolted into the lobby to go get her. She came running back in, and really cool moment. Really cool moment to end the show. Moment of the year, in my opinion, in WWE. So if you guys want to know my thoughts, Ronda's debut I thought was really cool, and to be there live for that was awesome. But then, even earlier in the show, you had the men's Royal Rumble, which I thought was even better. It's my favorite match of the year, other than Andrade, I guess. I guess like my favorite match from a wrestling perspective was Andrade and Johnny Gargano. But my favorite match from like a spectacle standpoint and from like just having everything in it, Royal Rumble, men's Royal Rumble 2018. Loved it. Loved being there for it. Every single return was great. You had the return of the Hurricane, who I was a huge fan of growing up. You had the Rey Mysterio return, which was like, holy shit. And I could totally see something this year with like maybe like a John Morrison or someone. Like if they come back and that they maybe have an awesome performance in the Rumble and then get re-signed to a full-time deal, I could totally see him doing something like that. And that would be great. But Rey was awesome. It was cool to see him come back. They had utilized both Andrade and Adam Cole and brought those guys both up as surprise entries in the Rumble. Those were a lot of fun, and it was cool. It was just awesome, and it was something that a great moment. And then obviously it comes down to Roman Reigns, John Cena and Shinsuke Nakamura. Nakamura tosses both those guys out of the ring, calls out AJ Styles, an awesome moment that I feel like just shot him into the stratosphere. And unfortunately, didn't work out for Shinsuke because of the booking. I just don't think the booking was great for Shinsuke. I think he should have been given the title. I think he had all the momentum in the world going into WrestleMania. And for some reason, they didn't pull the trigger. And, hey, it is what it is. Hopefully he bounces back in 2019 because, man, that night, I feel like they created an absolute megastar. And it was something I'll never forget. It was my moment of the year, if you will, was Shinsuke tossing Cena and Reigns out to win that match. And place just electric and just losing their shit over it. And nothing like a Philly crowd and nothing like that moment at Royal Rumble 2018. Fast forward, I get married on March 24th. We actually did a Shinsuke entrance, which at some point maybe I'll throw up on the YouTube page for you guys so you guys can see that. That was cool. In doing that, though, and just getting married, we were unable to go to WrestleMania that year. We had a lot of stuff going on. It was a crazy week. Didn't go to WrestleMania. First one we missed since 29, ironically enough, it being here. We'll talk about it once we get to WrestleMania season. But yeah, we didn't go to Mania. Mania was cool. I thought it was fun. It was really tough to not be around everything going on at Mania. I'd almost become spoiled. I remember going through WrestleMania 32 in Dallas and feeling like I was just going through the motions and maybe just taking it a little for granted. And maybe I just needed a reminder of how awesome it could be. And so not going there for 34 and sitting that one out, I'm certainly ready to hit the ground running for 35 this year, and I'm excited for it. So it is what it is. Missed out on WrestleMania. What can you do? Next up, SummerSlam 2018, as I review my notes. That was here in the Barclays Center. Another thing I probably took for granted, it was here for 4 years. This year we were actually, so right after Raw 25, they gave out a discount and pre-sale code for SummerSlam. So we got SummerSlam tickets immediately, got killer seats for cheap. It was awesome. And we got them in January. So then we had them already going into that weekend. So it was almost like we had taken it for granted that it was in our backyard and we were there for it. I got to be honest, there's not much about SummerSlam weekend. I really remember in terms of the wrestling. I was there with my buddies for NXT the night before, went to Buffalo Wild Wings. We had a hell of a time outside both before and after the show. If you want to take a look, this is right when I started this YouTube page. There's some stuff there about SummerSlam. There's a lot of hype that I put into it. And a lot of fun stuff around in and around before and after the show. So go check that out. SummerSlam, though, fun to be there. Then I was able to go to WWE Evolution. And WWE Evolution, just, again, crazy to see where the women have come from. There was a time once, if you remember, not even that long ago, Royal Rumble 2014. Yeah, 2014. So this is like not even 5 years ago. And the entire crowd is chanting for Divas in the John Cena Randy Orton match. And they're not chanting for Divas because they wanted Divas. They were chanting for Divas because they were trying to say, we care so little about this world title match that we'd prefer to see a Divas match over it. It was just because we had seen Cena and Orton a million times. So that's literally us in 5 years ago. And now fast forward and the women have their entire show. To be there for that at my favorite venue, everyone knows I love Nassau Coliseum. To be there for that was awesome and a lot of fun. And to see my wife there, and to hear her be able to talk about how, hey, if there were, if I was a kid and I was growing up and seeing these types of things go on, this is what I would have wanted to do. And then, she's super successful now, and I couldn't be prouder of her. But to hear her say that that's something she would have wanted to do as a little girl watching that. I know that she grew up loving Lita and Trish, and those were two of her favorites. But to see that now the women their main focus about that is on athletics and where they are as talent in the ring, and it's being focused on the in-ring action is just great. And that show was awesome. Becky and Charlotte had an unbelievable match that show. And really, that's that SummerSlam. Probably the thing I remember, if there's something remember from that SummerSlam, was the Becky Lynch turn and how crazy everyone went for it. Nobody wanted to boo Becky Lynch, and they absolutely refused to. And that Evolution show was really the rise of the man, so to speak, the man character that Becky's been doing these last few months. And it's just been great to see, and I hope that they continue with the momentum of Becky Lynch through 2019. So that's kind of my recap of 2018, kind of put a bow on things there. At some point, maybe we'll go back, we'll rewatch some stuff from 2018 and be able to do that within the years to come and hopefully to be enjoyable. So that brings us to 2019. And the huge announcement last night, it was really weird. I'm over in, my wife and I went to the club. I did throw this out there. By the way, hold the phone. I'm not gonna throw shade at the people who did this, because I'm not gonna call anybody out. It's not my deal. But there was folks I put out there, and I was, hey, what's everyone doing tonight? Where's everyone partying? Where are you guys at? And some people direct messaged me and, jokingly said for me to know my audience and not to throw something like that out there, which is ridiculous in my opinion. Yeah, I saw there was a good amount of people that were watching Raw and that were enjoying that, and that's awesome. And if it were up to me, I'd probably watch Raw with you guys. But just because wrestling fans enjoy watching wrestling doesn't mean that they can't be out celebrating New Year's with the best of us and having a heck of a time in a club, or having a heck of a time knocking back a few with some friends at a bar, even at a house party, or, just enjoying the night. Like, I understand that we all love wrestling. I love wrestling. I have an entire YouTube channel dedicated to wrestling, but I don't think that folks should immediately assume that wrestling fans can't enjoy things that are not necessarily revolving around professional wrestling. That's just my 2 cents. I don't mean any disrespect to that. I understand we're all passionate about wrestling, but that did kind of take me aback. I didn't mean any disrespect by the comment. I legitimately wanted to know what all these cool people that I've met here in the wrestling community were doing outside of the wrestling community, kind of for New Year's Eve. So that's why I threw that comment and that tweet out there. So it is what it is. But I'm out there, and all of a sudden my phone I start seeing tweets about this big announcement that the Young Bucks are going to do at midnight. And I'm like, oh my God, are the Young Bucks going to announce All Elite Wrestling? I'm super stoked. I'm ready to go. But, like, how do I do this? I've got my wife here. She wants the midnight smooch. She has all of her friends with her. How am I going to be able to get on there and check out the big announcement by the Young Bucks and by Cody and by Hangman Page? And didn't know what to do. And I see Being the Elite is coming out at midnight. And then it didn't happen because I forgot that all those guys were located on the West Coast. So it would be 3 a.m. my time. So that was a little bit of a breather. But then I'm thinking, you're knocking back through. You're having a good night. Where am I going to be at 3 a.m.? So I got home around 4:30 and immediately was able to watch the Being the Elite on the Young Bucks YouTube page. And wow, man. I mean, first off, Being the Elite is incredible. It's the biggest wrestling use of, and any wrestlers have ever used YouTube potentially ever, or at least since Zack Ryder's done it. It's crazy to me that not more people have seen this and been like, hey, let's get our name on some sort of YouTube platform, because the Young Bucks have done this like nobody else. And it's great to see. It's fun. It's cool to see that these guys have made so much for themselves. I mean, I've always been a fan of the Bucks. And if you go back, you search up at Tommy on the Spot, 2009 tweets, you can see I was super into the Young Bucks at the Dragon Gate USA shows I used to go to. I've been a big fan of them for a long time, but to see that they have made themselves into a legitimate alternative for WWE and huge household names that if you go into Hot Topic, everything is Young Bucks, or everything is Bullet Club and New Japan, and all that was built by the relationship that the Young Bucks created with Hot Topic. And that's awesome. And it's so much fun to see, and it's cool to see wrestling coming out there and being something that is so much more now than what WWE is. And there's so much wrestling to kind of satiate yourself with. And that leads you to Cody Rhodes. And you think about Cody. Cody's a guy that I thought was just awesome in WWE. I thought everything this guy did in WWE, he gave it 110%. And maybe it wasn't the best thing on the show. Maybe it wasn't something that everybody enjoyed so much. But he always gave it his all. Whether he was in the team with Bob Holly, right? Then he was in Legacy. Then he was dashing Cody Rhodes. Oh, only smoking mirrors. A really underrated theme song. Then he was dastardly Cody Rhodes when he had the face thing go on. It was all like a psychological deal. And he'd wear the face mask out in public every single place he went. And it was awesome. And I thought doing that type stuff is really freaking cool, right? Doing that, like being out at a club, wearing that face mask, being outside, and everywhere he went, he wore that face mask. Then he'd go and he did the stuff where he was teaming with Damian Sandow, into the stuff where he was teaming with Goldust, into becoming Stardust, and legitimately showing up on for Media Row and talking to all the different people out there, decked out top to bottom in Stardust paint and wearing that whole costume and doing that at like 6 in the morning. The guy just always gives it his all. Goes to the Indies because he believes he can be more. And holy crap, has he been more? I mean, it's been unbelievable. This guy has had great matches up and down the Indies. He's fought everybody that he said he was going to fight. He's become the face of Ring of Honor. He's become the face of American wrestling with Kenny Omega in New Japan Pro Wrestling. And maybe that isn't as accurate. But I mean, he's definitely a big part of New Japan Pro Wrestling and has just done it all. And I couldn't be happier for the guy. And now here we are. Cody Rhodes, the Young Bucks, and Adam Page last night announced that it would assume in 2019, All Elite Wrestling is coming. They also announced Double or Nothing, which is the second coming of the, I guess, the second annual All In show. So it looks like All In will be back, and maybe that'll be the start of All Elite Wrestling. Not too many details are out there, but at the end of the day, you've got to love it. It's a really fun time to be a wrestling fan. And there's nothing wrong with a little competition. See some fans out there, oh, they're not going to, this isn't going to work. This isn't going to work. They're not going to get past the Ring of Honor TNA level. Who cares, right? No matter where this goes, having this as an alternative and having this be something where someone's coming and someone's like, hey, we're going to have our own federation, our own wrestling company, and we're going to bring in people and we're going to come at WWE and we're going to be an alternative. And at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. Listen, there's a lot of people that are really excited for wrestling this week because of New Japan Pro Wrestling, because of Wrestle Kingdom 13 that's coming up this Friday. If there's another company that can come out and have something like we saw at All In Weekend and have that be a viable company, then maybe there's not ever going to be a company that can compete with WWE the way that WCW did. Maybe WWE is way too big. But if there's something that, people can watch weekly episodic television and really get into it and have that alternative out there, then that's incredible, man. And I'm excited for it. I'm definitely going to tune into it. I'll do the best. There's so much wrestling out there, but I'm ready for Wrestle Kingdom 13 this weekend. Might have another announcement about Wrestle Kingdom 13 real soon. I don't want to announce it until I'm 100% on it. We're about at 60, 70%, and hopefully be able to do that for you guys. But All Elite Wrestling, Cody Rhodes, the Young Bucks, Adam Page, they're out there. No Kenny Omega, so not sure what that means, right? We know Kenny is going to be, I believe, a free agent real soon. So who knows what that means? Looks like there was no Marty Scurll, and clearly if you watch the Ring of Honor Final Battle, Marty Scurll is factoring into the plans over there, and I'm a big fan of the villain. It dresses him for Halloween, for fuck's sake, right? So hope nothing but the best for him. Seems like he's going to keep doing what he's doing, and he's probably having a ton of success, right? I mean, he had said something like the Villain Enterprises type stuff was like the #1 shirt on ProWrestlingTees.com for 2 years now. When you consider how many wrestlers have stores on ProWrestlingTees.com, that's incredible. So the villain is doing his thing, and it's so great to see that people can make a name for themselves by doing something outside of WWE. And now you have 4 guys who are ready to start something on their own, and they already have top stars because they're the top stars. Cody Rhodes is having great matches. Adam Page might be one of the best wrestlers in the entire world. The Young Bucks, they're incredible. Everyone knows they're incredible. They're one of the most fun tag teams out there. So this might be a legitimate alternative. I tip my hat to any fan who's getting enthusiastic about this. You should get enthusiastic about this. You should be excited about this. And ignore the folks who are shitting on it. People are going to shit on everything, right? A lot of the folks loved these guys when they came to New Japan. Oh, Bullet Club, oh, they're awesome. And then they leave that, and now it's like, screw them now. Let's embrace this. This is fun, man. This is really cool. I'm into it, and I'm excited to see where it goes from there. Well, that is going to do it for me. Gave you guys a little more than a half hour. Went way longer than I thought, but I hope you guys enjoyed what it was. I realized it was a little late. I wanted to get on there. I wanted to chat with you guys, let you know that we are here on Watchalong Wrestling. It's going to be a lot of stuff on this channel. I want this to be a place you guys can come to talk about the biggest news in the week, to hear about the biggest news of the week, to hear about live events, to see what it's like to be there from my perspective. I want to hear what it's like to be there from your perspective. Let's have fun with this, man. It's Watchalong Wrestling. I am Tommy on the spot. Smash that subscribe button. I'll catch y'all later. Happy New Year, and I hope you guys have a kick-ass 2019.